As America's projects continue to become more complex and technology opens the door to innovations and products we couldn't have even imagined a few years ago, specialty contractors are playing a critical role on Design Build's most successful projects. Welcome to the Design Build Institute of America's Design Build Delivers podcast. I'm Kim Wright at DBIA's national headquarters. Today we're talking about specialty trade contractors, those members of the Design Build team that can really help take a project to new heights by offering their unique expertise on projects of all types. And thanks to the newest member of our podcast team, Georgia Pacific Gypsum, for their support in bringing this podcast to you. So let's not delay any longer. Today we're talking to two longtime design builders about why specialty contractors should be considered among the most important members of your team. Don Warren is Executive Vice President of McCrory Construction Company and one of DBIA's founding fathers. And Jim Hawk is Executive Vice President of Rosedin Electric. Don kicks off our conversation.
We're only as good as our trade partners. So we specifically choose, depending on whether it's, like I said, food or pharma or biotech or whatever, the right people and capacity and people we've worked with and got the right project manager, designer, and this just makes sense to me.
So when you think of the requirements, performance requirements of these projects from the contracting side, whether it's the general or the main subs, the MEPs or whoever, the projects are so sophisticated. You just can't have a forced marriage here of people that haven't worked together to try and get through and finish these projects. Projects these days are so complex and so demanding. You really have to know who you're going to partner with, and you need to know the history of getting through challenges together and know expectations, and you have to have a level of trust. And it seems like the way that the industry used to work with design, bid, build, how can that be reasonable these days, right? Where it's just, well, who submitted the low bid?
Well, you were just a commodity almost.
Right, that's it.
And it was such a hierarchical way of approaching things too, right? It really starts at the top and trickles down, which means if you're a specialty or trade contractor, you're somewhere at the bottom of the food chain, which doesn't make sense, I wouldn't think, in this environment.
Makes no sense. In fact, electrical mechanical is generally 40-50% of the cost. So in more sophisticated projects, even more. And to me, they're the heart and soul. I always would have the MEP with me as my partnership, and if it was a sophisticated steel job, I might have a steel fabricator picked out or a concrete company already picked out. It just depends on the. And I would tell owners when they say, "Well, how do we know the trade contract is going to be competitive?" I said, "Listen, it's a transparent thing. They're going to have a reasonable market fee. I'm going to ask them to get competitive prices and show for light fixtures or switchgear or transformers or controls or whatever the thing is, whatever the package is. And we will do our job as the design builder, and they'll do their job and show the owner this is what you wanted. This is performance specs you had. This is you accepted these 3 or 4 manufacturers. We've got the prices. This is who we got. Here's the prices. This is who we recommend." And to me, that just makes a lot of sense.
It's interesting because I just completed this last seminar, and at the conclusion, one of the questions was, well, how do you know the pricing is fair when you're getting selected so early and you're starting to go through design development? There's nothing on the drawings. I got asked that exact same question. And, I told them the owners that we're typically working with are pretty darn sophisticated these days.
Yeah, they know what things cost.
They know what things cost. They have their history going back X years, X decades of what, for us, the electrical systems would cost. And really, the burden is on us to say why it's different, if it is different. Right? We need to open book, explain why, get the quotes, share the quotes, let
have
everybody
a
see it,
back it up,
and talk through that. There's usually some very definable reasons if there's any variation. So.
Well, Well, and there's the unforeseen too, the things that there's no way that an owner would know, or maybe even the design builder may not know, that you would expect your specialty, your experts
Absolutely, yeah.
to highlight and potentially find innovations and savings.
Hey, some of those reasons for a deviation in a metric of some sort, it's even more detailed than what we understand. We bring in life safety vendors that actually are sophisticated in layouts, and these projects are so unique these days.
Right.
And there's so many changes on life safety requirements just because of the code changing. Every time there's a fire in a building, there's typically going to be some sort of modification to this code at some point. And it's very sophisticated. We need our vendors to come in and explain,
Right.
well, why do we have beam detectors in an area? Or why can't we use smoke detection or some other avenue to accomplish what we need to accomplish? And a lot of times it's code section 548, paragraph 20, subsection 3 that explains it, right? And there's just a lot of expertise that's needed. And it goes even beyond the electrical contractor into the vendors.
Great design builders are all about innovation, integration, and efficiency. That's why we're happy to have Georgia Pacific Gypsum as our Design Build Delivers partner. The DENS element barrier system with AquaCore technology from Georgia Pacific Gypsum creates the water-resistive and air barrier within, eliminating the need for an additional on-site crew to apply a separate WRBAB. This innovative product provides a high-performance integrated sheathing solution for architects concerned with preserving the integrity of their building designs and offers contractors better control of their project schedules and potential time savings.
Our expertise as a design builder, general contractor, is pretty much the shell of the building and then coordinating, and whether we use BIM or whether we use whatever, and we've got some great tools. BIM's a great tool to work with mechanical, electrical coordination with the owner. But to have that ability to just manage the team and schedule and make sure, my job is to make sure he can optimize his people and his forces and be as productive as possible and avoid the clashes and the conflicts. And we all have technology now that we can do that. To me, that starts, again, back to the team. We've worked together. We understand each other. We know what key things he's looking for, what he knows what I'm looking for, and we work together. It's truly a team, and I used to coach a lot of basketball, and together everyone achieves more. That's really the what we're talking about here.
It's interesting you just talked about BIM, because I mentioned in the seminar, our BIM group has expanded from probably 60 to 70 people 3 to 4 years ago to about 170 right now, because so many projects, a lot of the projects we're doing, they're sophisticated projects, and they have a BIM component that's required by the contract. And you know what? It's we're going to make a BIM model. We're going to use that tool for a lot of other reasons too, just to help with the efficiency and the production in our field.
It's a lot cheaper to fix it on paper
and
than it is out there when you and I run it. Pipe hits a
so
conduit.
You have that great aspect of working through those clashes early, and then we're using it to help break a project down into smaller components and quadrants, and loading cost information and production information into that model.
And it creates as-bills too, right?
And it creates as-bills
right out of the get-go.
It's a big undertaking.
And I think as the projects get more sophisticated, the tools continue to evolve, the team dynamic is changing the same way too. I would think that would be a natural way to capture all those little elements so that you can be sure that you're, in our world, practicing design build done right.
Yeah. We just finished a job with a Chinese owner, and it's our third job with them. It was the first job we'd used BIM, and I spent a ton of money and a ton of time, and they were in every meeting as the owner, and they wanted to install a lot of the equipment and controls and ductwork themselves. And our contractors, we got there, we're working from east to west. Here's your space, here's our space. What'd they do? West to east, and where they got to the air wash rooms, I'm not at the right, I got an opening here, and they missed it by 3 feet. and they don't work for me. I mean, they're the owner, and that's a tough situation. So we've got to make sure owners are educated and skilled, even if we have to do it for them. And that's another, it's hard enough to get your own people to do and work, but it's a sophisticated business. I've always said, I tell my young guys, I said, construction is a complex business. Nothing's ever the same. It's almost like playing golf. I mean, there's not a single shot in your life ever that isn't a little different. Environment, the ground, building's the same way, right?
Every project's different. And it reminds me, we were working for a developer, and it was 3 mirror image buildings on one site.
Yeah.
And we had to bid the first one. Now, we always did the work for this developer, but
It made you bid every time.
it's made us bid every time. So we bid the first project, and we squeezed down the labor units and our estimates so tight. I was really worried about whether we were going to make money on this corn shell. 3 corn shell buildings, fairly simple, probably 350,000 square feet each. And we squeezed it down, and we have great crews there. So on that first project, we probably had a labor savings of about 3%. But our crews were top crews, right? The second building, same budgets basically. We had a savings of about 20%. By the third building, it was a saving on that budget of about a little over 30%. And the amazing part is how much, even just on pure simple corn shell buildings, if you learn from each one of those buildings. See, the trouble is in our business, every project's different.
Yeah.
We're really starting from scratch on every project. We try to plan to try and, make it seem like it's.
I'm sure those 3 buildings.
The second building or the third building.
You had the same crews on.
The same crews,
well,
so they all
that's
learn.
The other part.
That's it.
We never have the same crews.
Same crews, you're right.
In fact, I've gotten so with my 40 years of doing this, I'm working with a contractor I've worked with 30. I say, here's the deal. I want you to work with me on this project, but I want that superintendent. Can I have that superintendent?
Mm-hmm.
Can I have his crew? Because that's
a big part of it.
It's all about people, right? It's everybody's skilled differently.
And it does make you think, though, how efficient you could be, right? If you get the same people,
well, if you get
the same other trades working together, right? All the trades.
If you get owners to let you have 3 in a row like that,
right?
that would help.
Sometimes I actually, in the same conversation with someone else, they said something about the highest form of really good design build done right collaboration. It almost feels like the special sauce. It's that magic that when it works, it really works. And they almost always describe the fact that it involved every single member on the team doing exactly what you all hoped at the beginning would happen.
We did I reckon the second job that when I was running Suit Construction, it was 1999. We won the design build project year building for Eli Lilly, an R&D lab. It was 160,000 feet. It was $50 million. And today it'd be, 3 times that. But we built it in 14 months complete. And it was just, we had a team. We handpicked our electrical, mechanical, our designer, our structure. I mean, it was our team. And everybody trusted, everybody knew, everybody believed. If the electrical contractor said, I'll do that, I can do this in this time, you knew it was going to happen. So it was just a wonderful job. It's a lot of fun then. Doing those kind of jobs, it's a lot of fun. And it's what it should be. Yeah. And that's why I've always thought DBIA and the master builder, I mean, that's what it's all about, is having a team of people, not adversarial groups looking to pick off somebody or trying to prove their worth. If they're a construction manager for the owner's agent that's been hired not to help you. A lot of times it's to prove their worth by, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. That is wrong. It's not the way to do it. I'm excited about the Fells management study because I was chairman when Penn State did their first one with CII. And now to see Fells showing that we're not an alternative delivery method, we are the majority. And what's the future? I think I answered some interviewer question. I think we're at 40% of the non-residential. I think it could be probably 60 or 70%, maybe in another, probably faster than 25 years it took us to go from 10 to 40. I'd say it's another 10 years to go because of BIM and technology that we have to do it right.
Yeah, people understand the expectations, a little bit of understanding of their roles and the whole process. And, the DBIA gets that message out there. I mean, they're carrying the torch and always have. And thankfully, they're accomplishing the mission, put in place, 25 years ago.
25 years ago.
Thanks so much to Don Warren and Jim Hawk for reminding us how important specialty trade contractors can be to your team's success. And thanks again to our sponsor, Georgia Pacific Gypsum, for being a valued member of our Design Build Delivers podcast team. But before we go, have you registered for our sector-specific Design Build conferences in April? We've added aviation to our transportation event this year, which will be followed by the Water Wastewater Conference. 2 events, 1 location. It doesn't get any better than that. Head to dbia.org/conferences to get all the details on the only event in the nation created by and for transportation and water design builders.